In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to make an NFL-style playbook for absolutely free. When I decided I was ready to start building my playbook, I wanted to make sure it looked exactly like my professional idols Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. I had seen some of their playbooks online, and I wanted to make sure mine looked just like that, but I could never get it quite right after a couple years of trying. None of the playbook tools I could find matched the aesthetic and were at a good price point, so I decided to try and figure out how to do it myself. I tried every free thing I could find: PowerPoint, Google Slides. I had some software from an old job, but again, it couldn't ever be just right. Now, I do have to give a shout out to Grady Allen. He was tweeting out some good looking plays on Twitter, and they were a lot closer to what I was looking for than what I could get myself. I reached out to him. He helped me get over that hump, and now I'm going to do the same for you. In the description below, there's a link to all these templates that I'm about to show you. Click that link, and I will email you these templates so that you can build your own Shanahan-McVay style playbook. And without further ado, let's build it. Now, before we get into it, I do want to show you kind of the final product that we are working towards. On the left are the Zorro pages from the 1849ers playbook, and on the right side is my version of the Sift play. Now, you will notice these aren't exactly alike. I did like the font on the McVay playbook from the 14 Washington Redskins, so I kind of went with that. I just took my favorite parts of each of those playbooks that I've seen on Google Drive and added them together. But really what we're looking at, the meat and potatoes here, are the plays. So again, the left is the one that is from Shanahan, and on the right is one that I've made where I'm taking my favorite elements of the Washington playbook, the Falcons playbook from Shanahan, and the Niners playbook, and adding them all together. So the rest of this video, I'm going to show you how to get there. Creating your playbook starts with the one landscape template. And what this is each individual slide is its own play. We've got 4 different slides here on the left. The first one is a balanced set. We've got double left. The second one is double right. You'll notice both of these are balanced. This is how we're going to build any 2x2 or 2x1 plays. But when we get to 3x1, we're going to offset the offensive line a little bit to make room for that third player. So we've got 3x1 to the right here and 3x1 to the left. You see the quarterback, the halfback, they're moving around a little bit as we go between these two. What I recommend at this point is making this entire PowerPoint all of your formations. So here I provided you with a balanced slide to get started with, and then one if you want to unbalance it to the right or the left if you're getting into trip sets. So what you want to think about as you're doing these is you only want to make things once. Once you make it, you want to be able to reuse the same thing over and over again. So it's better to take a little bit of time at the front end, make sure it's right, and then you can copy and paste a bunch of stuff from there. So once you've made all your formations, maybe now you're going to draw up inside zone to the left. You've already got the formation that you want to do it out of. But let's build a play. So remember, I wanted to build mine like the 1849ers, the 14 Redskins playbooks that you can find online on Google Drive. And on run plays, they have a defense out there. So let me show you how to add defenders. You're going to go to the Insert tab, and you're going to insert a text box. You can just insert it anywhere. We're going to be able to move it around. It's going to come in very small. Just type in a letter, and you can drag it around from there. Now that we've got it isolated, we're going to make it bigger. I like the size 20 font for this. Then we're going to make it bold. And then the font that they've used in their playbooks for this was Times New Roman. So we've got our defensive end. We're going to put him in a 9. You can see that little red dotted line. That means that the edge of the text box is in line with the middle of the tight end there. So this would just be a perfect spot for a 9. Now, instead of having to remake that text box over and over again, you can hold Control, and it will automatically duplicate it for you as long as you release the click before you release the button. But I'm going to show you another way to do that. If you hold Control and Shift, it will keep it on the same line. I'm really particular about everything lining up perfectly, and this really helps me out a lot. So we're building an overfront, which to me means this is where the 3 tech would be. Now I've got him on the outside shoulder of the guard. I'm just going to change that E to a T, and now we've got our end and our tackle. I'm going to hold Control Shift again to make the nose. Now he's shaded on the back side of the center, so we'll change that T to an N. That's a nose. Then last one, we're just going to use the E again, so I'm going to Control Shift, hold the E, get him on the outside shoulder of the tackle, and now we have our overfront for the defensive line. Moving to the second level, we're building an overfront 4-2-5, so we're going to have our 2 linebackers in 30s. You can see now that this linebacker is directly behind that T, which is perfect because that T is a 3, and a 30 means that we're right behind him. This is the linebacker to the tight end, so traditionally in Sabanese, this would be the money linebacker. And then holding Control Shift so we can stay in line, we're going to put the backside linebacker in a 30. There we go. We can see he's outside the guard now. That would be the MAC. And then because we have 2 removed weak, we're going to add the star. We'll put him just inside of the slot receiver here. There's our star. All right, moving to the third level, going to start with the safeties. We'll move this one outside the tight end just a little bit more than that end is. This would be the free safety. Strong safety in most modern defenses now goes to the passing strength. We're going to stack him on top of the star. This would be the S. Then we'll get our corners. If we're playing some sort of cloud concept or 2-read, he'll be off traditionally, so we'll just go C there. And then if they're playing something like press quarters to the pro side, we want to keep that corner on the line of scrimmage, put him just inside the Z there, and we'll change that to a C. So something else that the Shanahan playbooks have is they color code the defenders. The defensive linemen are blue. That signals they're a first level defender. Second level defenders are green. And then third level defenders are a deep red. The way that you can select some of these without just highlighting all of them is if you hold Shift and click and you're holding it down the whole time, you can select multiple. So here we have built an entire 11 versus 11 structure. Now let's talk about how to build a play off of that. You're going to go to the Insert tab and Shapes. I like to use the freeform shape for most things because you can start a line and then you can completely angle it without having to round the edges. So we're going to use the freeform tool a lot, and I've already set the line thickness for you if you use this on PowerPoint. All the line thicknesses are set as default, so unless you change them, they should be the right thickness. So again, we're going to Insert Shapes, going Freeform. Let's just draw up a little inside zone here. We're going to get our play side step, and then straight at the end here. All right, so that Y, we've got him stepping towards the end. Now we want to add that little head to show that he's blocking him. This is just a regular line, and we're just going to go straight across. Right now we'll just even it up a little bit so that way it's towards the middle. Now we have a solo block made. We want all of them to look the same. So what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight both lines. We're going to hold Control G if you're on Windows or Command Option G if you're on Mac. And now these two lines are grouped together. So whenever we copy these down, they're going to look exactly the same. And I'm skipping over that tackle because he's uncovered. So these are our zone blocks that are solo blocks. Now these don't quite line up. So what I would do here is you can ungroup them by adding Shift to that combination that I told you, whether you're on Windows or Mac, and it will ungroup them. And then now we can use the handles to line these up a little bit better. Again, you can see that little red dots coming through. That lets you know you're right in the middle. And then you're holding shift to make sure you keep these blocking heads on the right line. All right, so we have our zone blocks covered. So let's talk about what to do to make a combo. For an inside zone, we're actually going to have the play side tackle here working back towards the 3. So we're not going to draw his play side step. What we're actually going to do is we are going to copy this. We're going to bring it over. We're going to go to the Home tab, Arrange, Rotate, and Flip Horizontal. Make sure you get used to that sequence because we're going to be using it a lot. Now we're just going to move this to where it now shows that they're working in combination together on that 3. And we'll flip this blocking head to get more towards the middle of those 2. Now we've built a combination. We're actually going to use it again for the center and the backside guard. So we're actually going to delete these. And we're going to group these 3 lines together and copy these down to the center and the backside guard. Backside, we would just have a base block on the end because the backside linebacker, that star, is out of the box. So what I actually like to do for these is just draw them straight because he's not going to take a zone step here. He's just going to be blocking them out. Now I'm bringing this up because it wouldn't let me draw the line exactly where I wanted it to because it wanted to latch on to that end. That's what those green dots are. So bringing it up now, I can see that I've got the top part of this line in line with the other blocking heads, and now I'm going to bring the bottom part back in line and attach it to the green dot on our right tackle here. Then just to make sure my blocking head is the same size, I'm going to ungroup that Y solo block, and I'm going to copy and drag over that blocking head here. Move this over just a little bit so it's in the middle, and now we have the defensive line blocked. Now I know it seems like this is taking a little while. Remember, I'm breaking it down very, very step by step. Once you have done this a couple times, it will move a lot faster. And then once you've done it once, you've got a zone block to the left, you've got a combo, you've got a base block to the right. You don't have to do it all again. You just copy and paste from there. So like I said, it's a lot of work on the front end, and it's going to save you time and money on the back end. All right, let's get these combos up to the linebackers. The way the Shanahan tree denotes these in their playbooks is they draw dotted lines towards their second level targets on each combo. We're going to just bring this down to make a straight line. Had to go all the way up there for it, so I'm going to bring this down to be in line with that combo. Now I'm holding shift as I'm holding this up. You can see my cursor going left and right, but the line is staying straight. Shift is going to make sure that that doesn't go left or right. Make sure it's going straight up if that's the direction I started in. So we're going to go about right here so it doesn't latch on. Then we're going to copy this over so that way we can show in case the guard needs to come off. Move it over just a little bit using our arrow keys. Then we're going to add some diagonal lines to show that they're cutting that linebacker off in that direction. All right, so we've got that drawn up. Now we need to make these lines dotted. So we're going to select all of them. Then we're going to go to the Format pane in the Shape Format tab. You're going to click this. And on the dash type, I like to use the round dot for these because I think it looks the closest to their playbooks. Now we've built these. We do not need to do it again for our nose combo. We've already got them all selected, so we can just hold Control-Shift and drag these over to our other combo. And now we can see they are working to the mic. So we've got all 6 defenders in the front blocked up. Let's get our receivers doing some work. We're going to go back to the freeform. I don't like to block corners, so I'm going to get that Z underneath the corner and up to the free safety. I want to use that same blocking head here, so we're just going to hold Control and bring it up to that level so we can see him blocking the free safety. Get that a little closer to the middle there. Slot receiver would have the star there. So again, using the freeform tool to show him cutting off the star. We'll use one of these to show that more of an angle. Now, I don't like the angle here. I like my diagonal lines to really be perpendicular to the line they're coming with. So what we're going to do is in the Format Shape pane, we're going to go over to the last tab on the right, and on the size, we can change the rotation of that line 1 degree at a time until I think it's as close as we can get it. We're going to go back and make this a solid line because this is not a combination block. Looks like we can rotate it a little bit more because I'm particular. And that is pretty close. So now we're just going to even it up a little bit. And there we go. Last block to make, the X is going to aim for the strong safety. So again, we're going to draw him blocking the strong safety. Now, since the free safety and the strong safety are in line, I want these blocks to be in line. So I'm going to take this handle and bring it up to where we can see now it's in line with the Z's block. Going to copy and shift this blocking head over here. And now everybody is blocked up. We have to run the ball. Now, in the playbooks for the Shanahan tree, they show all these inside zone runs cutting back to the backside. So we're going to start this run like it's going to come up here and behind the mic. And what we're going to do is we are going to use the Edit Shape tool in the Shape Format menu to round this out. We're going to hit Edit Shape and then Edit Points. You can see the red line here and then the black dots. We just click one of those black dots and it brings up this little handle that we can use to add some curvature to the straight line. It's very important that you use the freeform tool for this. If you just draw a regular line, you will not get this option. So we're just going to drag all these down until we get it how we want. They show the halfback in their playbooks taking an initial wide zone course and then cutting it back behind the center. So we just play with this until we get it just right. There we go. We got him cutting behind the nose. And this is a pretty close path to how they would have it drawn in their playbooks. So now because he's running, we want to add an arrow to the end of it. So we click that line. I like to keep the Format Shape menu open over here. I've got a nice wide screen so it doesn't really take away any space from what I could be doing. So this would be the end arrow type. I like the stealth arrow over here. I think it's the closest option to what they have in their playbook, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. And then it looks a lot smaller to me compared to the weight of the line, so I like to make the size of that arrow the largest there in the bottom right corner for this arrow specifically. So now we're going to add the boot of the quarterback. Again, using the freeform tool, we're going to take the first part of this line almost all the way to the running back. And then we're going to take the second part and finish the bootleg with it. I like to make sure that the end of the bootleg is in line with the hip of the backside tackle, just so I always have a reference point for any of the plays. So then we're going to go back to the Edit Shape and Edit Points. We're going to click the joint here so we can bring up the curvature bar on the bootleg side. I'm going to add some curvature there. We've got a little bit wavy line here. That's not how it would look in the playbook, so we click the end of it. Now we've got another little handle here we can pull. We pull that down. We've got a nice smooth arc there. We'll add our arrow. And there we go. The last thing that we need to do is add our combination call. So again, we're just going to insert a text box. And that combination between the play side tackle and the play side guard would be what we call a double. So I'm going to bring that over here. The font that they use for this part is Bookman Old Style, and you want the size to be bold and 8. It seems like it's a little bit big here based, compared to some of the other fonts that you can see in font sizes. But whenever we get to the 6-up template, it will look a lot smaller. So these we like bright red so you can see them. And then we put them behind the guard and the tackle there. I like to get them up real close so that they're out of the way for the run game. We would also have an A call backside, so we're going to hold Control and Shift to drag that over. Make sure it all stays in line. There's our A, and we tuck it in nicely in the middle there. For the receivers, they would be blocking what I would call the 10 rules, because this would be part of our 10 series being under center run game. So that's going to go underneath just the single solo receiver. If there are more than one receiver, it will go in between all of them. If we're keeping it true to the Shanahan-McVay style. And then they put it in line with the second one as well. So here we have a whole play. This is completely done inside zone to the left. Now this is going to seem like a lot, but again, I'm going to remind you, you do a lot of work on the front end to save time on the back end. We get down here to our second slide and we're all ready to do it again, moving to the right. False. There's a shortcut. What we're going to do here is we are going to duplicate this slide. We're going to click any element on the screen. Okay, we'll just pick this line here. It's easy to click. You're going to hit Control or Command A. Now we have selected everything on the screen. You'll notice that there's a bar around it. If you haven't noticed it before, there is a rectangle all the way around. And what that's going to help us do is now that we've got everything selected, we're going to group it all together. And we're going to do that exact same thing that we did with our blocks earlier. We're going to go up to Arrange, Rotate, Flip Horizontal, and now we have that inside zone to the right play 100% mirrored from the play we ran before. So this for us would be double left 15. This would be double right 14. Now at this point, maybe you want to change up the front. Remember, if you want to ungroup it, you just add Shift to whatever the grouping sequence is, meaning on Windows, it's Control-G to group and Shift-Control-G to ungroup. On Mac, it's Command-Option-G to group and Shift-Option-Command-G to ungroup. So now maybe I want to turn this to an underfront. So I can bring the nose over here, shaded to the play side. I can take the tackle, move him to a backside 3. All right, I'm going to reduce the end down into a 5. Then the star would be the Sam. He'll come and play that 9. Notice I brought him from the second level, but you can still use those alignment tools to make sure he's in the right spot. This would really necessitate a rotation to cover 3 by the defense. So we'll put the free safety up top. We're going to move the corner to inside leverage. We're going to back this corner off the ball, line him up with the other corner, then move the strong safety down closer to the line, inside leverage, inside shade on the slot receiver. So now we just have to use the tools we've already made and go from there. We really just need to get all of this stuff out of the way. We've got a whole combo over here to the left, so we are just going to Control or Command X all that out. We'll have 2 solo blocks on the front side here, so we're going to group these back together using those tools. Now we're adding that there. The combo here is going to be between the center and the play side guard. So we're actually not going to copy that. We're just going to move this completely that way. This combo is going to be pushing to the play side. So we're actually going to move these as well. And so what I like to do with these whenever I have to angle them like that is just delete the rest of them because it's going to change everything. So we're going to copy this over as well. And then when they're angled like that, I like to flip to a flat blocking head. Now we actually need the old version of that between our backside guard and backside tackle. So what we're going to do is go back to the slide before. It's already the left guard and the left tackle. So we're just going to copy all of these elements and paste them onto the next slide. Now we don't want to be cutting that linebacker off in that direction. So what we'll do is highlight all of these. We're going to group them together and flip them horizontally. Now all that's left to do is fix our combo calls and move them to the right spot. This would be a B call. This would be a single call between the play side guard and tackle. Now I don't let it overlap with the quarterback. I get it as close as I can without being in the way of the quarterback there. And then when we have an unblocked defender in the front, what we do is we outline him with red. So you're going to go to shape format, and then the little pen here, this is the shape outline, and they outline it in a red, the same shade. I like to use the same shade as the secondary players. So now we can see that there's a little more attention brought to him. We know that he's unblocked. This is also how you denote on a zone read play that this is your read man. All that's left to do here is to block the right secondary players. And what I like here by the play side receiver is, again, leaving that corner alone. So we're going to show him going up to the free safety, getting a little push crack action here, making sure that we're on the right line. Take this blocking head over, and we'll rotate it like we did the other one on the last slide. And then on the back side, they are just cutting off this defender. And there we go. Now we've got inside zone to the right versus a different front. So you're just going to do this until you have all the plays drawn that you want. And then you're going to go to the 6-up template. And here is our 6-up. What I like to do is I've got our under center runs in boxes 1 and 2. I've got RPOs off of it in 3 and 4. And then in boxes 5 and 6, I put zone read concepts. They're all drawn up against different fronts that we would run that against. And then we have the play call up top. So now how do you get from the individual slide to the 6-box slide? It's easiest and quickest if you can have both open at the same time and not overlapping. So here we're in slide 1, box 1 on the 1 landscape template. What you're going to do is you're going to group everything together again, and then you're going to hit copy, which is Command C or Control C. Now we're going to come over to the 6-up. You'll have to click it to open that box. Then all you have to do is paste. One of the great things about having that black line around the side is now all we're doing is lining it up. So this is going to make sure that your plays are lined up in the exact same place every time. I like to have left side runs on the left and right side runs on the right. So let's go ahead and get our right side run. Do the exact same thing. Select all, group, copy, and paste. And then we're going to drag it over. Now, sometimes it's really hard to get those lines lined up, so I'll just kind of leave it in there and then use the arrow keys to move it over until I can't see that extra thickness. So you'll do this with every individual play that you have, and I like to just keep it 2 plays. So on the first page of the 6-up, you've got your play description. This will be your play name up top, the overall concept, and then each position's responsibilities from there. Then you've got your diagrams. I like to use the playbook to just show the gist of the play. And then, in meetings and installs and things like that, that's when we'll go over more of the specifics. So the playbook, ideally for this, would be if we're open, the book is open, we'll have the description on the left, then the diagrams on the right. So you're going to drop all of your plays in here, and then you'll type in your play concept. The first thing you type in their language is the personnel you can use. And we could be in regular personnel for these. We could be in zebra personnel. We could be in E personnel, or we could be in eagle. Type those in brackets. Then in parentheses, you type any things that you could call at the start of the play, which we would do 20 or 30 because we could call 20 or 30 with these. That's our RPO and zone read series. But these base calls we have drawn up are 15, 14. Now in each box, I've got brackets for the personnel used in that specific play. Again, we could do all these from any personnel group. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. And then our play. So on the first level, I like to do just the personnel, the formation, and the motion if there is one. So this would just be double left, then hit enter, and this would be 15 because we're going to the right. On the right side, again, we've got the same groupings, and this would be double right, 14. So you're going to do this all the way down, and you will have a whole playbook page built for absolutely free in PowerPoint. You could do it in Google Slides. Some of the fonts might mix up a little bit, but the structure of the play, the structure of the page is going to stay the same. Once you have built your whole play, you've got everything typed on your description sheet, you've got all your diagrams put in. I like to make it into a PDF so that whenever I go to print it, I know exactly how it's going to look, and it's a little easier to tie everything in together at that point. So you'll go up to File. I use my OneDrive, so I hit Save a Copy, and you're going to change the name of it as well, because this is going to be your template, right? So you actually don't want to copy stuff straight into the template. You want to duplicate that template file and then go from there. But what you'll do is save it this way, and then in your file format, you'll hit Export Format PDF so you can save it as a PDF. So I'm just going to click Save from there. So now I'll go through my files. We'll get that pulled up. Here it is right here, the one that we just made. Perfectly in a PDF, ready to be printed out and distributed. So we've talked about how to build a run play. Now let's talk about how to build the pass. Now on their passing sheets, they don't put a defense out there. The routes are just about where the receivers are going. All right, let's say we're going to draw a simple flood concept. Number 1, the Z is going to run a go. Going to go add his arrow. Again, I like the stealth arrow as big as it can get. What I call flood puts number 2 on the bubble or the flat route. So we're going to do that here. All right, we'll add his arrow. Then number 3 is the one who runs the out. So we're going to have number 3 going up, click to break it off here, and then I'm holding shift the whole time so we can make sure the angles stay in square. And then I'm going to drag this handle so that it ends on the same plane as the flat route. We'll add our arrow. Then lastly, we've got our alert post on the backside. Holding shift, you're only going to get 45-degree increments here instead of not holding shift where you can go any. I like to hold shift as much as I can so I can make sure that all the angles stay consistent. Get our arrow for the X. All right, there's our basic routes. The quarterback, the way they denote him is they'll just show him dropping back, and then because it's not a boot out play, they just use the circle to show that he's staying where he is, and then the halfback will have on a check down. Personally, I like the running back always inserting the protection to the call side so that the quarterback can see his hot routes. So we're going to show him stepping up here, coming straight through the line, and then his check down here would probably be what I would call a burst route where he's running backside. We're going to give him his arrow. And then the way I like to show him blocking is we're going to take one of these blocking heads from our run play. Again, we want to make sure they're the same size. We're just going to paste that into here, and at the crease where he cuts, I like to put that in to show that he's going to block first. So next we're going to name the routes. We're going to use the same text box that we used in our run. Now instead of saying 10 rules, this would say go. We're also going to change the font to black if you want it to look like theirs in the playbook. So he's on a go. The slot receiver is on a flat. And then the Y is on the out, and they call that the branch. X backside is on the post. Then the running back at the bottom. The running backs gets a little bit close, but it will fit. This is the check burst. All right, so let's go through the progression for the quarterback so we can draw that in here as well. The go would be number 1. We're just going to copy those because we got the same font size and everything. They color theirs blue, so we'll pick a blue, and they also underline when it comes to the progression. So we've got our progression number 1 here. Number 2 would be the branch. Then number 3 would be the flat. Running back would be the outlet. I like to put that one really in the middle. And then the X backside would be an alert. Now, alert is not underlined, and it is also red. Now, one of the things also in the West Coast offense is a hot route, and the way that they would show a hot route is they're going to change that whole person's bubble to bright red, change the font to white so you can see that receiver a little bit better, and then we're going to add a second text box underneath, and it's going to say in red letters, hot, with an exclamation point. So we know in the progression who the hot throw is if the quarterback gets more than he can handle in the protection. The next thing they'll add are some coaching points based on route depth. So, for example, this branch, we're going to go back to black font. This branch would be run from, let's say, 12 to 14 yards. The flat route would be 4 to 6. And then the burst would be at 5. So one thing that I think about a lot when I'm building these plays is how the routes distribute spatially. What I mean here is the flat route I've got drawn up for 4 to 6 yards, and this burst route by the running back is at 5. But the finish of the flat should be around 6 yards, and the running back's breaking at 5, but this is higher up than the flat route. So what I need to do is I need to bring the flat route up. Probably what I'll do here is I'll make it even, so we know that that should be 6 yards, and then we'll bring the running back's check down just a little bit, and then we will even the numbers out from there. Now, this being 6 yards, this is pretty close to halfway up if this were 12 yards. I kind of think about the top of the box being at about 25 yards. So kind of need to bring the branch down just a little bit as well. Now we even up our progression. And here we have a pass play. Now you can do all the same things if we want to run it from trips left. All we can do is duplicate the slide. Same thing of grouping everything together, flipping it horizontally. All right, and now we've got the exact same thing going to the left. All the same rules as our run plays apply. We're going to do the exact same thing if we want to add it to a 6-up sheet for passes as well. All right, the last little bit of this video, I have just a couple different tips on making these plays that maybe we haven't included yet or don't really go with this play specifically. And the first one is identifying the ball carrier. So for that, we just click the shape after we ungroup these. We just click the shape of the person we want to be the ball carrier. We're just handing this off here to the running back, so we're going to go to shape format after we click it. And then they actually don't use black. They use navy blue. Just a little bit different there, and then we change the font to white so we can see it easier. So this would be just a regular handoff. That's why I like the 10 rules here. 10 means that first digit, we have one option on who's going to be the ball carrier, and it is the halfback. Now let's say we were going to run an RPO, and there are two options on who the ball carrier would be. Traditionally, you're going to shade half of the circle, and I'm going to show you a way to do that here in PowerPoint. You're going to go to Shapes, and you're going to go to the half moon. Okay, so we're going to add it here. I kind of try to draw it inside of here because I want it to be the same size as the running back. All right, we're going to make it a little bit wider. Let me zoom in here so we can see it a little better. Okay, we're going to try and get it even with the running back here. Bring that to the middle. And then finally now we can see this yellow square in the middle. We're going to click that and drag it all the way down. It's really going to flatten that moon shape out. And then we're going to make the moon the navy blue color that we were using before. We're going to do the shape fill and the outline. And then now we're just going to click it, use our arrow keys to kind of get it in a little bit better of a spot. And the next sequence is really important. We need to send this to the back, not just backward. Every single element on the screen adds a different layer. We're just going to send it all the way to the back. Okay, but now it's gone. So what we need to do with the halfback is we need to change the shape fill from white to no fill. We'll be able to see through it now. And here we kind of have that effect of the halfback, that line being drawn down the middle. Then just to make sure we can see it a little bit easier, I like to change that H back to white here. Now let's say we were just running a traditional RPO to the 2 receiver side. We would want to get our hands back on that semicircle. Again, we don't want to have to make it again. We just want to use what we've already made. So in order to get to it, I'm actually going to cut this circle out because this is on top of our shape. So I'm going to use Command X or Control X. Very important that you use X. All right, then we're going to hold Control just to make another one of those. Now I'm going to paste and get that halfback right back where he was. Then we're going to do this again with the slot receiver or whoever that second receiver would be. I actually like to rotate the moon around so that we've got kind of a ball carrier option on both sides. Just a personal preference. You can do whatever you want to do. But then we're going to click our slot receiver. Actually, here we're going to bring him to the front because that's who we've clicked. And then we're going to go back to that no fill as well. Whenever it's just one letter, I like to leave it black because the white won't show it all on the white, but at least the black shows a little on the navy. Again, just personal preference there. Some things I like to do. Now, a couple just extra pointers. So I said in your one landscape file that I would build all of my formations. I would duplicate that file as well before making a new play. And to duplicate a file, you just go to it in your file finder. You just right click and hit duplicate. And then now you've got a copy of it. Another tip that I have for you is sometimes it's hard to get them lined up exactly right, and it just doesn't always want to match up. Sometimes it doesn't look that way because of the amount of pixels that your screen allows, so sometimes you have to zoom in close to get the lines to match up. Like you can see here, the 1 and the 2 don't exactly line up with some of the border here, but if you zoom in closer, they snap in. It's just about the amount of pixels you have. But what I like to do with the plays is sometimes it just gets stuck a little bit out there, and then like if you look on the right, it doesn't quite line up right over here, and then sometimes it gets caught being too inside as well. So I get it as close as I can sometimes, and then I will ungroup everything, and then I will just delete the box that goes around the play that it came with, because I've got those lines set in from the original template, so it still looks like it's in its box. Now there is a third template in the pack, and that is the pass protection template. They use this style instead of the original 6-up. They've got the description for the people in the protection, and then they'll have the boxes for the protection down here. The exact same method works for this sheet. You're just going to copy your entire slide into here, line it up with the bars, and then especially this is when you want to delete that square, because we've got the blank sides over here just like they have in their playbooks. Then you've got your descriptions of the protection up top. This is where your name will go. And then you have your entire sheet for each pass protection. Then the last thing that I'll show you, maybe you want to add motion. Same thing, you're just going to add a line, pull it from the player that you want to go in motion, tell them where you want to go. If this video is going to help you or your team save money from not paying for Playbook software, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel for more technology football tips and Shanahan McVay content. You're already scrolling down to get those templates. I'd really appreciate it if you hit those buttons along the way.